welcome to Mike and Carrie's Garage. First ever interview in the garage with legendary John Wright of Dead Bob, No Means No, Hanson Brothers, Compressor Head. It's really good to have you here today, John. I'm so glad you could come and do this. I appreciate it.
No, thanks so much. Finally get to see the place.
Yeah. A lot of people have seen it over Facebook messages.
Yeah, I've
so
seen lots
it's
of
good
photos,
Good to have you here.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've been in Kimberley. I think the last time when No Means No played at the Crossing Pub years ago, we opened for you guys.
Do you remember what year that was?
98, 99 maybe? Yeah, it was early.
Dance of the Headless Bourgeoisie tour, I think?
I can't remember, yeah.
And then it was with two drummers, with Kent? Oh, then it must have been right after, okay.
Yeah.
It must have been right after Ken had left the band, and we went back to being a three-piece. I wasn't sure when we were here.
How are you finding it, getting back at it and hitting the road and touring?
It was unexpected. This wasn't, there was no grand scheme, no plan. When No Means No kind of packed it in, Robbie, just decided he'd had enough of vans and hotels and being away from home, and he started a family late. Like I think his daughter is 12 now, turning 12, and his son is 14, turning 15 this year, and he's 70 now. So
just turned 70, right?
Yeah, just turned 70. I'm 8 years behind him. I just turned 62. So when we packed it in, I ended up moving up to Lund in British Columbia, up the North Sunshine Coast, and got involved with who is now our bass player in Dead Bob, Colin McRae, who I'd known with Pigment Vehicle back in the day. They were a Victoria band and very active in the 90s, and we played some shows with them and whatnot. But then I got to know him more as a friend and a person because he'd already moved up there, and we got involved. He had opened a coffee shop, and I helped him build it, and then we eventually bought a pub with a couple other partners, and that was in 2017. So I was fully immersed in that, and if anybody knows anything about me, they know I've been a home brewer for well over 30 years now, and we got involved with this pub to turn it into a brew pub. Problem is we spent too much money on renovation and didn't spend any money on beer equipment. That was our first mistake. Should have put the brewery in right away. And if that had all gone, well, it didn't. We finally succumbed to pestilence and war and famine and all the the troubles that the Four Horsemen are bringing upon us these days. And but had it gone the other way, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't be playing music. I would be brewing beer, and that would be what I would be doing to take me out to the end of my days. That was the plan. But I had to change course. But during COVID, like a lot of people, had time on my hands. The pub, of course, was all down to really bare bones operations and whatnot, so I had some time, and I started going back, and I'd been demoing lots of music. I was very musically active when I first moved up to Lund. It was literally the first time I'd lived by myself in my own place. My kids were still in Vancouver, and then I got involved with that band of robots, Compressor Head. They had called me up, and they wanted punk rock music a la Hanson Brothers, and I got to know them and got fully involved in that project, and that was before the pub. So I was writing music for them, but I was also just writing music. For 2.5 years, I just wrote a ton of music, and there was still lots of old stuff that was ideas for No Means No and whatnot. But anyway, fast forward COVID, I'm like, hey, just for my own, just for my own pet project, I decided to start finishing these songs, recording-wise anyway, to make them into something, like a real song. So I started replacing drum programs and drum loops with my own real drumming, learning the songs and playing them, and slowly these songs became something. Still no plans about Dead Bob or being a band, but hey, maybe I could do a solo album, release it on Bandcamp for fun. It'd be nice to finish some of this stuff. I liked it, and was to get it done, And I got such a great reaction from Facebook and No Means No fans, that I don't know if you're part of that Facebook group, We're So Right, We're Wrong.
Yeah.
There's a load of wonderful people on that. And yeah, just there was a tremendous reaction to this idea. And then the pub, we finally had to close the doors. And that was January of 2023. So I'd already getting close to completing this project and didn't have a name or anything. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm in transition now. There was still lots of stress and money problems and all that with the pub after it was closed, and it was extremely stressful. But I had this project to finish and get out, and I did. And then as the months were rolling by, I'm like, okay, well, Byron Slack, who is in Dead Bob, who I've worked with over the years with the Invasives, touring with and playing with them, and he also co-wrote one of the songs on the Robot album.
Oh, nice.
So it's already active with him. Ford Peer, who is playing keyboards in Dead Bob, he contributed some lyrics. The song That Was Too Easy on the album is his words put to some my music. So I'm already collaborating. And Selena Martin, I don't know if you know Selena Martin.
She played here with Tom.
She did.
Years ago.
Yeah. Awesome, right? I just reached out because I wanted to do my own version of Life Like that was on Dance of the Headless Bourgeoisie. So I had lots of people collaborating, and then I talked to them and like, well, maybe we can do this live. Right?
You sure can do it.
And it all just kind of,
wow.
It all just kind of fell together. It was not a grand plan there, and we're still scrambling to figure out how to be a band and all this, the social media, all the stuff you have to do, and getting back into this game with your initial question, how do I feel about doing this? It's great to be playing loud rock concerts, and I'm enjoying the music. But having to then, re-immerse myself into all the business, and it's a different landscape now.
Yeah, everything's more expensive.
Well, and crowded. It's like, literally, there's just so many bands, all the old nostalgia acts are coming out of the woodwork. And that was the one thing, too. It's like I was like, I don't want to be a No Means No nostalgia act. The only reason I'm doing this is we've got new songs. It sounds different, new arrangements, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
A new band, right? Obviously, we play some No Means No songs, right? Because that's the crowd that's coming out. So I'm not, trying to distance myself from the past at all. But I'm not a nostalgic individual, and what I do, I want it to be fresh and new, and what really interests me now.
Wow, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That album is fantastic, and it's got that unique flair to it where you can't be like, this is that. It's like what you do. It's just such a unique, awesome thing. And I think seeing that live, you blew a lot of people's minds that may have never had a chance to see anything like that before.
Well, we got new elements, and new personalities, of course. Rob was always kind of the face and the voice of No Means No to a large extent. But No Means No did a lot of diverse musically, right? I mean, there was always that element of what made us us, but we weren't afraid to try things. And what I mean is that, and I say to other people, and when people are like, what advice do you have for young bands? This is just write songs. Don't worry about what style or what the image is or what, just write songs. And if you just write songs that are coming to you, they're going to be you and not you pretending to be something else. Yeah. And it's hard, and not everyone can do it, and there's nothing wrong with just banging out some music that you love and the style you love. Not at all. If that gets your yayas going, then awesome. But my approach to music has always been to just write songs. And if they turn out this way, well, that's the way they turned out. And now, not fortunately for me, now I've got like a horn section to play with, and the keyboards, and so my brother hated all the orchestration that I used to bring into the band.
Really?
And now I don't get anybody opposing me. So.
No, you got a good collection of musicians there.
Talking about coming and playing here in Kimberley. And I'll say in all honesty, I think that's my favorite show of this so far.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just everything kind of aligned. We were having a little trouble with the sound check and the sound, but when it came down to brass tacks and it was time to rock, and the crowd was just we played well. A minimal amount of mistakes. I'm still making. The singing is what is really the biggest challenge for me. I've never sung so much and played drums.
Yeah.
I did some, and obviously No Means No, but that's...
the Hansons, that led to
And the Hansons I didn't have to drum, so I could sing, So, and I swore years ago that if I'm going to be in another band, I just want to be the drummer. I just want to be the drummer. But of course that didn't happen, and now I've got a lot of lead vocal chores, and I'm blowing lines off all the time. So I'm thinking about, because I'm making, like when No Means No played live, we had the songs, but they always evolved, and I'd be making stuff up live, I'd try something in the middle of a show, having played the song hundreds of times in hundreds of shows, but still do something, right? I'm thinking about what I'm doing. It's not all totally robotic.
Yeah.
Although it sounds like that, and in most ways it's set. Once I got it, I got it. But with Dead Bob, we're still in this, the initial stages of being a band, and all that drumming on the record was just, I'm just drumming to demos, and none of that was practiced and played with anybody, right?
Yeah.
So live, I'm thinking of things, and like, oh crap, I gotta sing a line I totally forgot.
I'm so glad that like in Kimberley now, up at the curling rink, you can do an all ages show.
Yeah.
Where you can have like adults and kids, and
Yeah.
seeing the young kids out there and
That's
loving it.
another reason why I say that is because, it's the teenagers, kids and teenagers, young adults, shall we say, that bring all the energy to the show. We get lots of the No Means No fans, of course, but they're all my age. Right? They're enjoying it, they're loving it and all, but you're not getting that energy in the pit.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. And wanted to talk to you about the book. I just got this.
Yeah.
So, new book released.
From Obscurity to Oblivion.
Yeah. I've been reading through it. It's a pretty interesting read. I like how it's written.
By Jason Lamb and Paul Prescott. Jason took this upon himself, and early on he was starting to regret it. He is a radio host in Victoria, and we only got to know him when he interviewed us a couple of times in the early teens. But he approached me and said, we have been his favorite band since he was a kid in Victoria, right? And he said, I want to write a book about you guys. And it's not the first time we've been approached, and biographies and documentaries have never really been high on our priority list, and kind of like you don't really want to take part in them. But some years had passed, and it's like, yeah, sure. My friend Scott Henderson, you know that name?
No.
Victoria guy. He recorded every band in Victoria at some point, including us in his basement studio. The Worldhood of the World, as such, was recorded in his basement, and mixed elsewhere, but recorded there. And Sudden Death, the Hanson Brothers album, and of course all the a lot of Showbiz Giants stuff, which is another band, the Showbiz Giants, that Ford and I played in, and was Tom Holliston's band. Before and after he was playing with Robbie and I. Anyway, Scotty sort of vouched for Jason and said, "Oh, I think he'll do a really good job." And so he said, "Oh, sure, okay." And he ended up interviewing like 500 people. It was, again, COVID came along and suddenly everybody had time to talk. Yeah. And they say, "Oh, yeah, well, you should talk to this guy." And it was just like, the rabbit hole of, going, "Oh, I'll try this and try this." And ended up with like 500 interviews or so. And he's like, trying to transcribe, and he just got overwhelmed. He had 20,000 images sent to him.
Wow.
So yeah, he got a little bit overwhelmed by the whole thing, but got some help. Paul Prescott, I think, I'm not sure when he came on board as his editor, and then he started farming out. He literally went on that group, So Right We're Wrong, like, hey, is there anybody out there who wants to do some transcribing? And people popped up, "Sure, send me an interview, I'll transcribe it for you."
Who transcribed it into, is it Polish? Like a Polish?
Oh yeah. Well, it has come out as a Polish edition. Yeah. And apparently they're going to do a German version.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of blew up a little bit on PM Press. I think it's one of their best. I don't know if it's the best book they've done. They're a very small publisher, and it's done well, and the reviews have been all great. People have loved it, and I haven't read it cover to cover, as I like to say. I kind of know the ending, but it's lots of great photos, and what I told Jason at the beginning is like, yeah, well, what people like interview about your life and what you've done. It's just, well, my perspective on No Means No really is irrelevant. It's all the people that have come to enjoy the music and go to the shows and what they got out of it. That's a band's legacy. It's like how your audience was affected by you. And a band's perspective on things is totally skewed. It's not reality in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
So, at least not the reality of people's minds and what they imagine a band and what they get from the music, right? And No Means No, of course, the music was not just about being a punk rock entertainment. Robbie expressed, and Andy, Tom, and I as well, expressing, ourselves truly, with lots of humor and whatnot. But Robbie was very good at putting into words some of his introspection, and in a way that people could connect. And so I think that's kind of the charm of No Means No, that people can find themselves in the music.
Yeah. No, I remember the first time hearing you guys. It was like, what is this? It was the small parts. And I was actually, the house where you're staying tonight, it's my buddy's dad's place, Ryan Commission.
Yeah.
I was actually at his house, and his brother had this tape and put it in, and it was just like, that was the moment. And I got to see you guys at the Commodore, and I don't know, just after Ron came out maybe. And then that was, it was awesome. You've had a huge, huge influence on me and my brother, and on the community, and on the world.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that you're sitting here. And when you read this book too, the way it is written, it's so well done, because it's like a perspective in a paragraph, and it all ties together, and
that was the goal.
It's just like, wow, this is crazy how this all came together, and it's like the same situation from two different views.
Yeah, you get a lot. You get some honesty too. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you felt that way.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. Like you walk through it and you can see where everything you accomplished. It's amazing, and you guys managed to do it the way you wanted to do it. And there's not a lot of bands that I know of that have done that. Like, that's so admirable. It's awesome to be just like, we're doing this, and then going and doing that, and then ending on your own terms, and now you got Dead Bob going. And what's the plan?
Drove our manager up the wall.
I bet it did. I read some of that in there.
Yeah, he's just like... Yeah, well, it's yeah, and that's what I mean. The band's perspective. We're all in our little world. Oh, like, big fish in a small pond. You know what I mean? It's like, especially major labels and with the grunge explosion in the '90s, there was opportunity for us to jump to the majors.
Yeah.
But it's like, but why? I mean, they won't like this music. We're just part of this. Hey, look at that! They draw 500 to 1,000 people. Well, let's sign them.
Yeah.
Without any idea what the music is, and then you become an employee, because the inevitably it would always be, can you just write wrong again? My answer being, yes, we kept writing it over and over. It just never sounded the same. It's just like, it would have been the end of us.
Yeah.
Right? As it was to a lot of bands. They just blew up as soon as they realize they're not in control of anything anymore.
Uh-huh.
And nobody's your friend, right? There's no A&R guy from Universal who's your buddy, who's like, loves you because of your music.
Yeah.
Maybe more now. Maybe there's some now that were big fans when they're younger and now working in the industry. They're out there for sure. But back then, at that time, it would have been just suicide, I think. And we felt that way, that we kind of control freaks. It's our music, our art, and tour when we want to tour, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
We weren't afraid to work hard, but didn't want to get too lost.
Well, you should be proud, man. Like, that's a pretty amazing accomplishment. What do you see happening with Dead Bob? Is there going to be a global?
Yeah, well, we're trying to plan ourselves right into 2025. Now everything, it's like you have to book everything a freaking year in advance now. It's like, it's really so crowded out there, and which is, we're playing catch up, since this whole thing started. Like, I released an album with no plan whatsoever, and without any idea that it was like, okay, well, let's do this, the next steps, It's kind of like No Means No. We just kind of took opportunities as they came along, step by step. But we had years and years ahead of us. Dead Bob's not really that way. I'm 62. Everyone's getting older. There's not years ahead in that respect. The sort of laissez-faire, let's take life as it comes.
Yeah.
There's still that. But everyone's got to pay the bills, and you can't do this for free, and blah, blah, blah. It's just a lot of other pressures, business-wise, to make it happen. And that, it's a crowded world out there to try to, and we're not starting from scratch, obviously, because No Means No has a reputation. A lot of the people we work with are still in the business and are happy and supportive. There's fans out there that are going to come. But, we're still a new band. We still have to go out and blow minds and build an audience. So, and we have to plan down the road a lot further than we ever had to do with, you could book a tour 3 months in advance without much trouble back in the day. Now it's like, well, Park Theater in Winnipeg, we got there, I was talking to Corey, the promoter, a super nice guy, and he says, every weekend is booked for the rest of the year. And this is like, was booked by February, every weekend is booked in the place.
Wow.
If you want a Saf Rider Saturday night, you're looking at 2025 now.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Do you think it's from just 3 years of being cooped up that people are
Cooped
out
up,
now?
yeah, everyone getting out there. And there's this resurrection, especially in the punk rock world, there's a real resurrection of the 80s music.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of bands that, they don't sell records anymore because everyone streams them for free. And
So I see that you guys have some U.S. dates coming up.
Yes. We're gonna. That's the next step.
Nice.
Head down to the States, and as I was saying about booking ahead of time, we're still scrambling, right? And so going to head down to Punk Rock Bowling, and then we're looking forward to maybe getting out east in September, but even Europe is like, I was thinking Europe would be one of the first places we would go, because No Means No, that was really where we were the strongest in many ways, right? In Germany and the Benelux and all that. But even it's not coming together like, it's not being handed to us on a platter.
Really?
Right? And but I think we found a good overall booking arranger for everything. You have sub-bookers and for different regions. Then we're looking for that towards November and in December of this year, and that's probably the earliest we would make it.
Wow.
So it's planning into 2025. This time next year would be going back to Europe. And as I mentioned earlier, we were talking about Compressor Head and the robots. That we're trying to do something, the Dead Bob and the Robots, and do some shows with them next summer when you can do some festivals, because they're better suited at festivals. They can't play night after night clubs, which is just too much logistics. So looking forward to doing that, and making time for other people's, like Christy Leodette plays trumpet and guitar and keyboards, multi-talented, just a real talent. And her band Wrong, RONG, awesome band. They want to squeeze some shows in too. I'm kind of taking over everyone's life. Byron Slack from the Invasives, they're still active. They don't play a lot, but they're still active, and you might see the Invasives and Wrong come through.
Perfect.
Yeah. And Ford Pierre on keyboards. He's pretty much, this is his musical project now, Dead Bob.
Nice.
And and with the Alternative Tentacles, re-releasing all the No Means No back catalog. That's very slowly coming along. Wrong, apparently he's coming out, I think this week, finally officially released the album. But they want to do the whole catalog, and with the book that we talked about, it's just a lot of hot irons right now.
Oh, fantastic.
So we're what are our plans? Well, let's start taking advantage of this cross-pollination of punk rock nostalgia, the book, the No Means No heritage, the new Dead Bob band,
just the general awesomeness.
So it all kind of, the bar is behind me, and now let's pursue this, and like I say, get ourselves planned through next year. Who knows though, whatever, maybe the robots, the other evil robots will be in control by then. We never know. Or we'll all melt.
I don't know, man. I use
A solar
ChatGPT.
storm and it's all over. Who knows?
I used ChatGPT for the first time about a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it blew my mind.
It's
It's
crazy.
like, what is this?
Oh, yeah, maybe I also plug the other thing. We have a video now. Have you seen our video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He uses AI, that editor, the way he digitally transforms all those images. It's his own tricks and stuff, but he uses some AI, and it's just like, holy crap, that was just I don't even like music videos. Like, we never did them, because it's like, I like the Hanson Brothers one, the hockey song.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Playing
Okay.
Shinny.
Well, Tiger Williams was in it, so all good. Whitestone Eyes, there's the video that's it's pretty amazing. So a lot of that stuff there's so much good potential, and what you do with it. But who knows? This is some uncharted territories we seem to be wandering into.
Well, this has really been fantastic, and I hope you know how much I appreciate you coming here and doing this. It means a lot to me.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
And I'm hoping to get some. I thought I could have Dead Bob in here. I realized that's not going to happen.
Well,
but
as
we'll get some more
we
solo
spoke when I came in. Well, Dead Bob could get in here, but you won't be able to put any. There's no room for the audience.
Awesome. Well, all the best, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
This
so
is
much.
Really
man.
fantastic.